Well, you just walked into our podcast episode of Did She Really Say That? This conversation is all about money. And ladies, I do not know why we shy away with our relationship with money, but it's time to change that. So, this conversation, this episode is going to challenge a lot of your beliefs and your relationships with money. Why? Because it's freaking time. All right, we've got a very short window to help you ladies. So here's a real deal conversation. In the next 5 years, we're set to inherit over $30 trillion in financial assets. You know how much education and training we've had? Less than 50 years. We have so much to catch up and learn. And this is why I know it's such an important conversation that we're having here on Did She Really Say That? So, no matter where you're at, if you're just getting started, if you're midway through, if you're six, seven, eight figures, you really need to start having financial conversations at the next level. And I'm not talking surface level. I'm not talking with just, doing your taxes. I'm talking a whole other strategy level and a relationship with that. So, to help us with this conversation, because I know how important this is, that's why we built it into the Create Her calendar and planner. We teach you how to track your cash flow money, just like Michelle is going to talk with you today, because this conversation cannot be tabled any longer. So, who the heck is Michelle that I brought with me today? I'm so glad you asked, ladies. So, she is a former CPA and business consultant. She is the current she's the current, like you were ever not the CEO of this company, but she's the CEO of a limit-free life. Yes, limit-free life. Why? Because that's what we want. We want a limitless life as women, right? We want financial prosperity. She does help both men and women. She's not exclusive to females. Thank you for that. But really, she wants you to fall in love with making money and having a job and a mission with that money that gives you purpose. And I think that's really the beautiful thing. She wants you to have something that satisfies your soul, inspires you to live the best version of your life, and to help you create financial well-being through accessibility and actionable financial education and really build a better relationship with your money. Michelle, thank you for joining us and welcome to our virtual stage.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I love
Yes.
your animated way that you said limit-free life. I realized in all my years I haven't ever said it quite like that, and I've really been missing the boat.
It's limit free. And then it's life. Like, come on. Like, jump off the cliff, take the dive, and go and just fly. Like, what would that feel like?
Thank you.
So let's start with the beginning. Why should we even care about this relationship we have with our money?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I honestly didn't, well, first off, I feel like people don't know they have a relationship with money. And maybe I feel that way because I didn't know that I had a relationship with money. I spent a lot of time studying finance and accounting. I worked in it, and I worked in corporate finance and accounting for 15 years. I never once was introduced to this concept. So in my mind, it was all about, as you know, you just have to know the rules. You have to know how to manage your money. You have to, understand finance and accounting. As long as you have the education, you'll be fine. And
Sorry.
no,
A little laugh over here. I'm like, yeah, that used to be true. Not so much anymore. Okay.
no, and it's ironic in a way because we have more access to information and education than we've had in the past. Um, but neither are really pushed out there. Nobody actually in high school is saying, go educate yourself about money.
No.
And even if you go all the way through, like an MBA that I have and being a CPA, still nobody in the educational process or in the work life ever mentioned this. So I didn't know it was a thing. And then I went and I got some coaching at one point, and she introduced this concept. And it was fascinating to me because the whole psychology around money, the emotional aspects of money, I never thought that played a role. So
Mm.
when I was introduced to it, I really wanted to share this with the world because it makes all the difference. And since then, I've gotten
Okay.
very into neuroscience and spirituality and all the things that help you see, the true value of understanding your relationship with money and how much that impacts your thoughts and consequently your actions with money. And, we have these deep-seated beliefs in there in our subconscious that we're unaware of, and they are literally driving the car for us in terms of money.
So I have a question around this because we do have a lot of deep-seated beliefs. Do you find, because I know you work with men and women,
Hmm.
Do you find that women have a lot more, I guess, resistance or a lot more limiting beliefs around money than typically the male does?
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to when men go into a job interview. I started, my coaching practice as a career transition coach, and I would really notice the differences between men and women when they go into interview.
Yeah.
And, men sort of come in expecting people to find them interesting and they're much more comfortable asking, for a larger role or more money. Women definitely have different beliefs. And on top of it, I feel like women, their belief systems are just different. For a lot of them, they feel like this isn't something they have to worry about now. I think men are a little speedier to come to the financial table.
Well, and I would agree with that. I think to some extent, men are told they're the providers of the family, so financial set and knowledge. And I think as women, when I was doing my research, we've only been able as women to open a bank account on our own since 1978. So not even 50 years in. And the reason I know that because I was born in 1978, so I've totally dated myself in all of this. And I'm like, I'm not 50 yet. So you're telling me it hasn't even been 50 years since we've had the ability to really even own or understand finances as women. So I think you're looking at like a generation of women that have both accomplished a lot and are still transitioning and understanding the knowledge and what to do with this. So I think there's culturally, we're all up against it as women. We're always
Yeah,
been told that we'll be taken care of. And so learning to take care of ourselves and understand this financial world is definitely a relationship game of utter importance.
it is. And women also take on a much larger sort of nurturer role.
Yeah.
Um, I have a money archetypes assessment that I do as part of my program. And that's how I got introduced to this because I took it myself and I found that my number one archetype out of 8 of them is a nurturer. Not
Okay.
all women have that. That was the interesting thing too. I'm like, oh, this is all women. It's
What?
not at all. But for many of us, we will put other people first, including, our partners, our kids, our parents, taking care of them at this point. That wasn't even a thing when I started this, but now it is. And so there's a lot of delay, a lot of avoiding
Agreed.
money and delaying kind of interacting with it. And that really, really costs us. Whereas I think you're right, what you were saying about men, they jump right into career building and, building wealth and all the things that we're going to get to later.
Yeah. Hmm. So interesting. And yet it's such an important conversation. So we have women coming in, we've got men that are listening also. So what's the first step to build these relationships? So you talk about this architect, you talk about taking this assessment, but what can I do right now as I'm listening to this podcast? What are some things that I can start putting into effect?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a lot there's the terms are flying around all the time. Work on your money mindset, work on your relationship with money. And I used to say that too. And then I realized my clients don't know how to do that. They don't know what does
You
that
throw
mean?
words around like we should understand this
I know, I
language.
know. It's super crazy,
Yeah.
actually. I mean, there are terms in the financial industry in general that I think nobody understands, but everybody's pretending they understand, and
Oh
they
yeah.
don't really dig in. Even, basic things like compound interest. If we really
Mm.
understood that and thought about it and looked at it for a minute, we would all start so much earlier.
Oh
Um,
God, yes.
but as far as money mindset, it goes way beyond doing affirmations. People say, okay, well, I have to think of myself as a wealthy person or think of myself in abundance, which is in fact part of it. I mean, I'm not
Yes.
dismissing that at all, but there's so much more to it. And everybody is so unique and individual in this realm. Um, I have this assessment, but it's really just to help like highlight some ideas for yourself and then to really dig in. And your beliefs come from your early life. What your parents did around money, did they talk about it? Did they fight about it? Did they never mention it? Like, what kind of household did you grow up in? What was
Mm.
your religious affiliation? What were they influencing you about with money? There's a lot of people who really value taking care of others, which might mean, giving all your money away to charity, and that's more noble than actually making money and putting it. You have to really go back in time and think about, over my lifetime, what's been happening with money, first of all? Have I gotten myself in debt too many times? Have I, what have I been doing? What's my money history? And then,
What's my money cycle that I
it
keep finding
is, and
myself going through?
absolutely habits.
Yep.
Your your beliefs and your thoughts create these ideas and you act on them. And over time, you've acted on them so many times, they just become habitual patterns that you translate into like, this is what you're supposed to do. But
Mm,
it's really just what you do for whatever your
okay.
reasoning is. It's not necessarily what you should be doing, even though you kind of have taken that on as a belief system. So we want to really just tear down our own belief systems. And we want
Okay.
to, reevaluate, who am I with money? And we want to see too, you have to put yourself in like different scenarios and think, I mean, if you're making $100,000 now, but you want to make $1 million, try to put yourself in that place and think, what would that $1 million business owner be doing? Where would she be speaking? Where would she be living? Who would she be interacting with? What would she be doing with her money? And
Mm,
I think the first thing is just to really gain a deeper awareness, because that's where the light bulb starts going off and you start seeing, oh, I've done that like 5 times now and over the course of my life, and it hasn't worked for me. And you know, why have you, it's really an analysis. I feel like in a way there's a little bit of financial therapy that needs to
yep.
happen. And then from there you can start to take actions. And in my, the way I see it is you have to start believing different things. So first you have to understand what you were believing, then you have to try believing, and that's not easy to do. You know,
Agreed.
I mean, changing beliefs is a long, slow process, unfortunately, and you have to stay on it and practice just like you would at the gym. It's not something that it's a process. And
So basically, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, you go ahead.
So what I'm hearing basically for our audience that's listening in, so if you're, I'm asking, what's a tangible action for them to take? It really is get the assessment. We'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the episode, how to get onto that. But also to do that self-evaluation, like sit down and actually write down what is your money story.
Mhm.
Right? Like, what do you believe about money? Have you ever heard, and we hear this all the time, like, has money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. If you've heard things like of that, are you repeating that in your own cycle? And I'm just kind of things that I've heard growing up. Definitely heard money didn't grow on trees. I'm a child of six, so money
Yeah.
doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that was one I heard all the time. Um, and so you learn, you kind of you adjust and learn those habits too, and then to unlearn them, to say I can't afford that, then start asking the question, how can I afford that? Right.
Mhm.
Begins to shift that mindset. So I think the first thing for our listeners is really start reflecting what your belief is around money. Is what Michelle said. Take that assessment, know what you're dealing with Has there ever been a conversation or a statement that you've made to a client or to an entrepreneur that had them stop, think, and go, "Holy crap! Did she really say that?"
Mhm. Well, yes, there have been a few. But the first one that pops in my mind is how much people don't think about profitability if you're a business owner. So there's a lot of, oh my gosh, I made $1 million this year. I'm so excited. But in the end, they spent 1,000,001, and so it's not it's not something to be excited about, actually.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Say that again.
Yeah, it's the idea of looking at, we're really kind of trained to like, I have to grow, I have to build revenue. And so where that metric is what we're so focused on. And honestly, it's cool, but if you made 500,000 and spent, 100,000 on your business, you'd actually be so much better off. And so we're not trained to think about profitability. And I think again, it comes down to mindset. That's complicated. revenue is one number. You can just track it and watch it grow, watch it drop, watch it, but it's very simplistic. Profitability means you actually have to understand your P&Ls, you have to understand, you have to actually be looking at expenses, which frankly nobody, including myself, likes looking at. Yeah.
Eek, if I don't look
And
at it, they'll go away, right?
yes, and that's a mindset that a lot more women have than men. This is a big
Wow.
difference, is women think it's complicated and they can't do it. I'm not going to
Mm,
understand it. I'm not good at math. One of the silliest things people say.
I
It's
still don't
literally
understand why women
addition
say
and
that. Yeah.
subtraction, and I said that once to my mathematician sister who's got a PhD and was brilliant in math. And she just looked at me like, this is a math, this is arithmetic. And so I never forgot that and I adjusted accordingly. But it's true. It's not so complicated, but that's the piece that women are like, I can't do it. I'll have somebody else do it. And they just sort of, even if they have a bookkeeper or somebody doing their P&Ls every month, they don't really spend a lot of time looking at it. Your
Yeah, it's
money.
like the blinders.
Yes, and your money tells a whole story about your business that nobody else is telling you. And if you don't pay attention to it, it can, you've got the data to know different things to do in your business. And, I know that I was listening to another one of your shows and you're talking about cash flow. And of course, cash flow is the queen of all of it. And if you have to figure out how to cash flow. And
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so important. And you're talking about it is, we are not taught. So a lot of us go from an employee mindset into an entrepreneur mindset. This is
Hmm.
part of that money relationship. So as an employee, and I remember this because I was there, we get a paycheck.
Yeah.
Taxes are taken out, 401 taken out, health insurance taken out, this. And so that check really just becomes covering life expenses and setting some aside for savings.
Hmm.
When we roll into, and this is exactly what I did, when I rolled into entrepreneurship and I got that first, $100, I was like, woohoo, $100. I spent the $100,
Yeah.
right? Because it was $100 coming in. I didn't have the framework that you're talking about to treat that $100 that nothing's come out of that yet.
Hmm.
And that 100 has a percentage breakdown. Some of it goes to profit, some of it goes to my owner's comp, some of it goes to my taxes, some of it goes, it has a specific purpose, but we don't teach that. Like you talk about, we don't teach business cash flow. We don't teach business growth in terms of how financially it looks. I have met more people than I care to admit, and I've coached more women and men than I care to admit that have literally built $1 million businesses. And like you said, spent 1,000,001 to
Hmm.
keep it up and running. They're no better off. They're literally on the hamster wheel of unsuccess. On the outside, they have all these accolades. Behind the scenes, the debt is piling up.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then we wonder why people go out of business.
Yeah, and the stress of that is really debilitating.
Tell me
I mean,
about it.
you pretending it's not happening, but you know that at the end of every month you're worried about whether you can pay payroll, and you can do that for
Short period of time.
decades, and it becomes a habit, and you just assume, maybe you've heard this from small business owners, but it gets pretty defeating. And then the message in your mind and the belief system becomes this, it's always going to be like this. As an entrepreneur, I have to work too hard for too little, which is not the reason people go into entrepreneurship. I mean, it's quite the opposite. So, but they
Yeah.
find that and then they just believe this is what it is, which I think we do with all things money. If we're having a bad period, we just talk ourselves into this is how it is for me. I'm not one of those people who's going to be rich. I'm not going to be, it's always going to be a struggle for me. That's a huge mindset.
Yeah.
Is it true? Well, it's a struggle in this moment, but it doesn't need
It's
to stay
not,
that way. Yeah.
yeah, it's not your whole purpose. Like I always say, there's always a blimp, right? It's like it's a moment. It's like you're in this place for a moment. You created it, and you can also get yourself out of it if you so choose. Like it doesn't define the rest of your life.
Well, you just hit on one of the biggest mindsets, I think, is that you do create your life. And there is a mindset out there that the world is creating your life,
Yeah.
the markets, the economy, other people. It's
That's
never
the whole
you.
news media wants you to believe
Oh,
that.
everybody wants you to believe that, really. And I mean, that is a whole other conversation as to why. But I really do feel that mindset that I am a creator or co-creator, depending on your belief system, of my life. And I have to
Yep.
stop and see what's happening and recreate. just like you do with your products and services. But we do all these things in so many, we do it with our kids, we do it in so many places. And yet, back to the beginning, because we don't recognize our money as a relationship that we're in, that one just gets neglected. Like we don't go there with that. We don't I mean, gosh, if our kids are having problems, we are just like on it like glue until it's fixed. But our money problems, we feel like we have no control.
So I have a question that just kind of popped into my head for this one, and I know this is probably off topic, but I wonder because I was thinking to myself, maybe I should open up my business bank account and have a conversation with my money in my bank account. Like, so how
Yes.
are you today? Like, she's laughing, and I probably think this is probably one of the best ideas that I've sitting here as I'm talking with you. But I feel like that would be something that even right now somebody could go in and say, okay, let's have a real honest conversation with your bank account. Like open it up and start talking to the inanimate number that's there because it has and it is charged and has an emotion for you that you're literally talking to every day.
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much I love that. I mean, because there's this energetic component with money as well, as there is, I think, with everything. So that kind of, you know, I've really gone from sort of a very practical financial person to a very woo-woo financial person. But I
Thank you
believe
for that
that
because it is woo. Money is energy. It is
yeah.
literally a digital footprint that we are now working with. Like
Mhm.
it moves as an energy. It
Yes.
attracts, it repels, it does everything you want it to do based on how you feel about it.
Yes, and even if you don't truly understand that, again, we're dealing with concepts that are kind of weird and different, and we're not used to them. But if you just sort of force that a little bit, things start happening, which we call evidence, and then you start seeing it. It's like, oh my gosh, I was hoping for this, and I was, you know, journaling on this or praying on this or whatever it is, and suddenly it showed up. And that's
Mm,
when you realize there is this energetic connection. And you're
there
right,
is.
talking to your business bank account or any bank account is a great talking to your money, treating it like you're in relationship, paying
Mm,
attention to it, actually interacting with it. And another, thing that you're making me realize that needs to be said is our self-talk around money is super crappy. I mean, if you do nothing, this is a tangible thing, but if you just take notes for a week, what am I saying about money? Oh, I can't afford this. I'll never be able to do this. I'm not good at this. Whatever it is, it might not even be about money. It might be about sales. It might be about budgeting. It might be about anything, but you can see that what you're saying to yourself is like what you're saying. It's almost what you're saying to your money because
yeah.
your money energetically is getting this anyway, whether
Yep.
so
Consciously or subconsciously, yes.
yes. And you brought up writing a money story, and I think that's a brilliant idea. And one of the exercises I do with clients is to have you write a letter to your money. And so you write this letter and you just sort of stream of consciousness express yourself to your money. What do you want from it? How do you feel about it? And then the more interesting part is you have your money write a letter to you. So your money is then
Oh.
speaking to you, saying, dear Katrina, I really, I love being your money, but I kind of wish that, this and that were happening. You feel like you're not going to be able to do it. And then you start writing, and it's like the floodgates open, and you have so much that money wants to say to you. It's very interesting.
Okay, I'm challenging all my listeners to take up that challenge and then let us know in the comments anywhere you guys are listening to this. If you've taken that on, have your money write you a letter. Be the author of money to yourself. I'd be super curious what you uncover for yourself.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And when I
That's
did it the
brilliant.
first time, I'm like, oh, my poor money wants to be treated differently. So anyway, but money
No.
gave me some ideas on how to do that.
Yeah, and then if you get stuck around this, then reach out to Michelle and say, "Hey, Michelle, I need help with this. How do I have this conversation with my money?" Like, this is where she's an expert on this one. So, what is one thing as we wrap up the show? What's one thing that you want to leave women with? Like, if you, because the majority is the female audience, what was one thing you'd like them to really look at as a business owner, as an entrepreneur?
I feel like if you're looking at your relationship with money, well, first of all, make a decision to start looking at it because if you've
Mm,
never done that before, it's very important. Your decisions are based on emotion. So
yep.
I mean, just like in marketing, we all know that for marketing. But the decisions, the things that you decide to do with money, whether it's hiring a person or investing in something, uh, it's all emotional. So you have to understand the emotional, psychological part of it. And there are a lot of people out there teaching money mindset, which is great. But what, and I do think that's probably the highest priority to start working on that. But along with that, you have to take action and you have to take smart actions, and so
Agree.
you have to be able to stop yourself and say, okay, my emotional side is saying do this, and then step away and sort of look at yourself like you're a rat in an experiment and detach yourself from your own emotion and say, is that really a smart move? What could I do? Ask yourself these things to bring your conscious mind into the decision making versus this unconscious emotional side, but also take action. I don't believe mindset alone is going to do it for you. And I don't believe just practical financial knowledge is going to do it. I think they have to be married. I think,
Agree.
the belief system shifts, the action, consequently, the actions are going to shift anyway. But take action, because as you take action, you reinforce this new money mindset. If you want to be a saver and you're not, and you're always telling yourself, I don't save, I can't save, I've never saved. And then you even start saving $10 a month. Your new identity is you're a saver now. You can't say I don't save. You don't save
Yep.
what maybe you want to be saving. But so there's identity shifting as well that will help bring momentum to this new relationship with money.
So powerful. And ladies that are listening, and the gentlemen too, um, definitely reach out to Michelle, because I think there is a blend. Like, you cannot just say money is just mindset. You can't say money is just one way. It is a holistic approach to business, and it encompasses so much more. It's a literally a foundational education piece that is often and most likely neglected. We focus on everything else but how we treat the money that's coming into our business. So let's talk about this assessment. What can you share about this? You said there were 7 personalities around this. So let's give a little bit of that one for our listeners to dive into, just to learn a little bit more about themselves.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, there's eight archetypes. It's based on Carl Jung's, original sort of assessment archetype look at things. And so basically, it's just models of behavior that people have fallen into. And so, of these archetypes, you'll have certain strengths, you'll have certain gifts, and you'll have certain challenges as a result of these. So, you want to leverage your strengths, you want to be super aware of that. Sometimes we're not that aware. And then you want to work on these challenges. And so, there's methods to do that within this assessment. And yes, so I find it a great starting point. It's not going to completely change your mindset. It's going to build the awareness that you need to start figuring out what you might want to change. Um,
And
and
if they're looking for that change, they get to reach out to you.
yes, so I have happy to offer to your listeners a crack at doing the assessment, so I can send the assessment digitally to you. You can do it. You can send me the results, and then I will record my own kind of consultation on this and give you the breakdown of the analysis and some ideas for how you could use this information and what you could do with it.
Yeah. And then you can work with Michelle and find out how to dive deeper into understanding money, because honestly, we all, as women, need to be doing more around our money,
Mhm.
understanding how it works. Um, we own and control more discretionary income than the males do. We have more buying power at our fingertips than we realize. We have the ability to close down companies, rewrite history, do so much if you just understood how money works in your relationship with money. So, Michelle, thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank
hanging
you.
out with us here on Did She Really Say That? And the extraordinary business you're building. So, thank you for this.
Thank you. You're a delight, and I love your podcast, and I'm so happy to have met you, and I think you're doing amazing work out there in the world. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you allowing me to join you today.
Absolutely. So, everybody that's listening, show notes wherever you're at, whether you're watching us on YouTube, through our podcast, syndications, even on our website, follow Michelle, connect with her, take that assessment. These are tools that are gifts to you. Whether you take advantage of them or not is up to you, but I do highly encourage you, for every guest that we bring on, there is a nugget of information that can totally transform your life. It's up to you to take action, to discover that nugget for yourself, as we do in every episode of Did She Really Say That? Thank you for Michelle for joining us. And for all of our listeners, we will see you on our next episode.